right, everybody, welcome to the Nitty Gritty. We're back for more during the COVID-19 crisis of 2020. We actually have a guest today. You don't have to just listen to Andrew and I debate things and argue about things.
Although it was entertaining.
Wait, you listened to the last one?
Yeah.
I liked it.
Yes, it was so fun.
I thought so too. Today we have one of my colleagues in the food industry. Has a very similar story to mine, I would say.
Yeah.
Tammy Tolbert.
Well, I think technically my last name is Brimhall.
I know, but
I know, it's fine. Tammy,
it is really hard for me because I grew up, with your brother. So
Yeah.
we're both from Heber.
Yeah.
So Tammy Brimhall of June Pies is with us today. So, but I still call her Tammy Tolbert. Plus,
that's
Tammy
good.
Tolbert sounds kind of cool.
I'm not going to lie. I think the only thing that really still says Tammy Brimhall is like maybe my driver's license. Everything else is still Tammy Tolbert.
You should just hyphenate. Be a
Or just like not take it on.
Just make
Right.
him take your name. Just
So
make
I
him
actually
become
met
Tolbert.
somebody that did that
Right?
yesterday. That's real.
I know.
There was, I forget who it was. Anyway, but so yeah, we're excited to have you. I text Tammy just yesterday, and I'm just like, because right now it's hard to kind of get guests in here too, right? And
Yeah.
so I just wanted to text people that I knew would be down for coming in. But you have an
We're
awesome story,
Part.
a passion for your career type story, right?
Yeah.
And so yeah, I think this will be a good one. So thanks for coming.
Thanks for having me. I'm glad to finally make it down here.
Was that another dig?
Finally to be invited on the
Oh
podcast.
oh dear.
She went from not thinking she should be on to mad that she hasn't been.
I was gonna say,
I'm
yeah.
mad at you. Like
Oh,
I
just
feel
mad-
like
right.
I am in amazing company. Like
Sure.
why am I actually on here?
There's
when
the
you
imposter
asked yesterday,
syndrome.
when you asked yesterday, like,
It is
what do you want to talk about? What do you want to talk
you
about?
asked
I know.
what you want to talk about, and then I just said scary things.
Yeah.
We
like
don't ever
brownies.
really have a direction on this podcast. We just sit and hang out. And
I-
usually stuff comes out, and you're a pretty, upfront person. You don't really
That's a
filter
very
too
nice
much,
way to
so
say
that's
that.
what we're,
Thank you.
that's what we're trying to get. So June Pies, how long has it been going? Let's start there. You've been going for a while. I mean, I'm talking like the very beginning.
The very beginning, almost 6 years, like next week.
That's it. For
Like
some reason,
next
I thought it
week?
was longer.
Next week, 6 years. Yeah.
Wow.
Isn't that crazy?
Are we talking like out of the house?
Out of the
6
house,
years?
6 years. So 2014, like April 15th, 2014
Tax
is when
day.
we started. Tax day. That's why I remember.
So tell us a little bit about yourself and how June Pies came to be. How did it start?
Well, June Pies came to be because I was bored.
Right?
Truly, it was bored. I mean,
How many kids were in the house?
I had 3 small kids. My oldest was in kindergarten, and
when you started.
when I started.
Okay.
So my oldest was in kindergarten. I had a 3-year-old and like an 18-month-old, maybe a 15-month-old, and my husband had just started a new job where he was then like busy. Like really busy. And I had been a stay-at-home mom for the first time after my youngest was born, and was coming to the realization that I hated it.
What did you do before?
I was an IT director for a company in Park City.
Okay.
Oh, so this is
For
a simple
property.
pivot.
Yeah, super simple,
IT,
super normal,
I- sure.
right? I ran databases and IT department there, but I had always loved to bake since I was a tiny child. Truly, like my 5th grade graduation program, it's like, what do you want to be when you grow up? Everybody makes the line and they like say what they want to be, and everybody wants to be a beautician or a nurse or
Firefighter.
or whatever. And I wanted to be a chef. Like I wanted to own a bakery where the locals came and I would know what they wanted to order. Like that is specifically what I wanted to do.
So that early, you.
Yeah, and
Why? Like, where did that come from?
I don't know. I always just loved baking. And my mom baked and cooked dinner. I mean, as a mom now, I look back and go, oh my gosh, my mom cooked dinner like every night. Like we never ate out. She cooked all the time.
That tradition is long gone.
Yeah, long gone. I don't even now. I don't do that. And but so I baked always growing up. But that's like always what I wanted to do. And even in high school, I wanted to go to culinary school. And I was a cook at the Burgermeister all through high school.
Really?
Yeah, I was
In
a,
Midway, Utah, the
Oh, yeah.
Burgermeister.
back in the day.
Wow.
Such a good burger.
Dang.
Yeah, it was class. So I mean, I just always wanted to cook.
So when you
and
say
bake.
bake, like what kind of stuff were you making back then? Just anything and everything?
Everything. And I have this tendency to be obsessive. And so when I'm baking, it's like not just a little bit. It's like I'm going to be on a hunt for the very best chocolate chip cookie I can ever find. And I'm going to bake thousands of cookies until I determine that it is the very best.
Well, I would say most pastry chefs are the most OCD of the chefs.
And I'm not like
Right.
super meticulous about like my measuring,
Right.
just like the irony of being a pastry chef.
I was going to say.
Like the actual recipe of it.
Oh, there's no like that's my biggest struggle is like actually having to document the exact recipes down to the grams is a struggle for me. But
makes you appreciate cookbooks. Like I've always, like when I
Yeah.
teach barbecue classes, so much of the info is not how I do it.
yeah.
And so it's like, I
Yeah,
think
I've taken
everyone
that
has
barbecue
that
class.
struggle.
Thank you. It's not how you do it.
No, right.
I'm
well,
aware.
it's not how a recipe book, like my manual, right? It's as close.
It's as close as you
It's
can get, plus all the
user-friendly.
notes that I can add to it
Right.
from all
It's
of the
gotta
things you
be
say.
user friendly, and it has to have some sort of pattern. But generally, with people that cook for a living, they realize that nothing ever cooks the same.
No.
You know, just because of
So how do you replicate it? Someone who's not a cook, that seems like you're just asking for a mess.
Well, I mean, it's going to turn out like
it's just
close
trial and error,
everything.
right?
It's trial and error, but
You
like
get them as close as you can. with
can,
this.
yeah. And we
Is some of that strategic that you don't really want to give exactly what you're doing out?
yes.
See, I say no.
I mean,
But
I say
we
yes.
come from very different worlds. Like if you put exactly what you do, you could replicate it.
Yeah.
Barbecue, with the amount of time and how different every piece of meat is,
Yeah.
I've learned, like the last few years, I've started becoming a lot more open because, I mean, they've got to cook 500,000 briskets to catch up to
Yeah.
me experience wise. And so it's, I mean, but with yours, it's exact measurements. Well, if you have a good oven, right? Most
If
people
you have a good
don't.
oven, yeah. So I mean, I think the more and more I become comfortable in my own skin and doing it and more confident in my own abilities, I think I would be more willing to give that out.
There's a
But
quote. It's called "Practice makes perfect."
it's so true.
Good one.
Thanks, man. I got one.
You got it.
Okay.
Oh, but you know, in high school, I actually we moved back east for a couple of years, and I went door to door. I was like 15, and I baked pie and sold them door to door.
I never knew that part.
Did you really?
I did.
That's incredible.
We lived in Lexington, Kentucky, and I wanted a video camera. And I don't know why I like wanted a video camera, but I wanted one. And so my dad
You're
sat
an
me.
influencer before influencers
gosh.
were around. She
I
wanted
don't even
to,
know what I did with this video camera, you guys. Like, I don't even know, but I wanted one. And I had we were moving home. And so my job at the local concession stand was over. So I had some time in between, but I wanted to earn some money. So my
What
dad
was
said,
the local concession stand? Sorry, I got to stop you. Like, what are you talking about?
we lived in Lexington, Kentucky.
Right.
And so basketball is kind of a big deal there.
Oh, okay.
And so there was now I don't even remember what it was called, the basketball academy. So it was like this big facility and all there were basketball courts.
Oh, wow.
And so they would just do tournaments and things. And I worked the concession stand, like the big,
Gotcha.
and that was it.
I thought maybe you meant you had like a, selling your pies concession stand type.
no,
thing.
no,
Gotcha.
but I had started taking these pies.
so like how
door
many
to
were
door.
you making?
I made I want to say in the course of the month of May, I made 100 pies and sold them door to door. And
So
I only
you were
know,
walking around with
well, I would go take them to order. I would
Okay.
go knock on my neighbor's door and be like, "Hi, I'm making pie. Would you like any?"
what kind of pie?
Banana cream, chocolate cream, lemon.
15.
At 15, maybe I was 16, but I mean, it's a different deal, right?
Wow.
I'm a 15-year-old blonde girl walking
Right.
door to door, Mormon, saying let me bake pie. And I did it until my mom was like, "You make too much of a mess in my kitchen. You're done." I was
Right.
like, okay. Well, I have enough money for my video camera now. I'm good.
So you did it for 1 month.
Yeah, she only let me do it for 1 month, and then we moved home and everything. But then I just started to bake, and I was getting up before early morning seminary to bake pie and make dough and freeze dough at 15. It turns out I don't need a lot of sleep in general.
Right.
So what were you doing with it though? Just giving it to people?
No, I
after
sold
you
it.
made
I sold
Okay.
it to him.
Okay.
I would bake pie to order and sell it to him. And
Do you remember what you were selling them for, like price wise?
my dad made me sit down as we were marketing it out, and we went through all of the recipes for crusts and custards and things, and we broke it down by like cost per gram.
That's what I'm
of
talking.
item.
So you
Like,
were building menus even back then.
yeah, like straight up, how much would this cost? And I remember being like, Dad, I want to do this on my own. I think I can do this. Like, I've got a little bit of money saved up. I can do this. And my dad's like, or this is a good teaching moment. Let's make a deal. I will supply all the ingredients and the kitchen, and you get to keep all the profits. And I was like, but Dad, I really want to do this on my own. And he's like, why? Why don't you let me buy you all the ingredients and you just get to put the work in and make the money? Because this is a good teaching opportunity. And I was like, okay, you're probably right. You know, I'm like, man, can't you do that now? Don't I get that opportunity now? Like, can you just buy all the ingredients for me and I'll just take all the profits?
What did your dad do, or what does he do?
My dad was a sales executive
Okay.
for, when he finished his career, he was the global VP over executive vice, sales
Okay.
for Xerox.
Really?
Yeah.
You say that so nonchalant, like that's a big deal.
He's a big deal.
Like Xerox
He's a
was
big deal.
I mean, they're still a big company, but I mean,
It was a big deal.
back in his
and so
holy crap.
yeah, he was in charge of all their sales globally for
Sheesh.
Xerox Business Services.
So
So
very experienced in the business world,
Very
and
much
breaking
so.
the cost down and the profitability,
in the sales world,
all that
like,
kind of stuff.
there's no better sales guy than my dad.
Yeah.
Hands down. So my dad taught me like how to sell. I didn't go to college to sell
Ew.
or bake anything. Like
You
I
didn't go to college?
No, I went to college
Oh,
and I
what a
have an
waste of
English
time.
degree.
Now you bake pies. See?
Right?
It's another one.
It is.
Point
And
proven.
it was like my dad was like, you can do, like, don't go to culinary school. Like, that's not a big enough dream. Like, go do something more.
Well, he
You know, like, go be a lawyer. Like, you have the talent and the ambition to go do whatever you wanted.
Right.
And so, like, dream bigger. Don't just, like, bake. But all I really wanted to do was bake. Like, it was all I wanted to do. So I baked. And we moved home. We moved back to Heber when I was 16, so my junior year of high school. And I just baked. I baked bread. So every Sunday I would bake bread, and my dad and I would take him to, we called it the grumpy old man route. So like all of our neighbors that were like really old and kind of scary that lived in that 1 mile block around
Right.
us, you know, like, and Steve Hansen was on that list for a little while, and you know, it was
So we would have been on that list. Dang
yeah,
it.
you for sure would have been on
Parents
that
didn't
list.
Get divorced. We'd still be living in that house.
We've been making up for it all these years. I've been bringing pies in retrospect.
That's true.
It's true.
I do
It's
love
just
it when you
crazy.
come-
That's just another example, though. Your love for baking.
Yeah.
You made money out of it, but you would have baked, and you did bake just for the love of doing.
I did.
doing it.
And money will come, right?
Yeah.
We've heard this story so many times
Like
now.
just the act of doing it over and over again and being willing, enjoying the process almost more than enjoying the outcome.
Oh yeah.
Right.
I mean, when June Pie came around, I like kind of had to gather together a sales pitch and like a business plan to convince my husband that I could do this, like that it was going to be okay. It wasn't too much of a risk, that it was fine. Like, not that he wouldn't have let me do it or anything
I
like
was
that.
going to
But
say, not like he could tell you what to do.
yeah, no, but like, look, I promise
What an
this
awesome
is going
thing
to be
to
okay.
be able to. I think everyone needs to pitch their business because it just makes
That's true.
everything get clear.
Yeah. And so I spent a lot of time like kind of thinking about it and working over the details. And it was like, look, I'm going to go buy a used fridge. I'm going to spend this much money on like a stack of boxes and a stack of tins and a rubber stamp
Right.
and a domain name. And I think we can do it. Let's just try it.
Where did the name come from?
My oldest daughter's name is June.
Okay.
And so that's where June Pie comes from. Because my name is weird. I'm not going to say Tammy Pie. That would be like the worst.
Do you know how her name is spelled?
No.
It's Tehmi.
Okay.
So it's like the last way you would say that name. Like to me, it's like Temi.
Yes, so I
Or-
do answer to June Pie. I know you guys ask all of your guests, like, are you Cake by Courtney or are you, Lates by Kate? Like,
Are you Bam Bam?
are you Bam Bam? Yeah,
Damn straight I am.
I'm June Pie. Like, and I just answer to it. I'm like,
Well,
yep.
and you don't see
Yep.
my little rule is I'll never introduce myself as Bam Bam
No.
because that's super douchey. But if somebody calls me Bam Bam, that's okay. Like I don't
Yeah.
mind that at all. But
They're like, oh, you're June Pie? You're June?
just
I'm like,
it's JP, just JP for short.
or my favorite is when they see the shop kids like working the counter, like, these are your kids? I'm like,
Yep.
These
I
college
had him when
students?
when I was
These-
14 and a half.
these college students are my children? I should sleep more.
So how many kids in your family growing up? And where did you
I have one older brother and two. So I'm one of four.
Okay.
So I have a little sister and a little brother.
No, so you're number 2.
I'm number 2.
Okay.
Yeah. But we're kind of spaced out really weird. Like Brian's 5 years older than I am.
I didn't know Brian was the oldest. So Brian's
Brian's the oldest
year
by a
younger
lot.
than me.
And then my little brother,
By a lot.
well,
Jab, jab.
my little brother's 9 years younger than I am.
Whoa.
And so there's
Your
kind of a,
parents just have some peaks and valleys.
yeah,
during the,
apparently.
I'm just
Apparently
kidding.
they'll take them when they can get them. So, I mean,
So, like, what made you go from having fun, baking a pie, selling it door to door, just occasionally to, all right, I'm not going to go all in on this now?
well, I mean, I was selling it door to door when I was 15.
Yeah.
So
Right.
that
See, and
changes the game.
that is true. I kind of wanted to ask that question. There's that because we kind of skipped from you selling pies door to door to like
Oh, yeah, then with the
explaining to your
IT.
husband. There's a whole lot in your life that went on
there
between
was
that.
a little bit that happened,
right?
right?
We've
Yeah.
had some drama.
We had some drama.
Right.
It's fine. It's fine.
You upgraded.
I upgraded. So
And let me say, you did a heck of a job.
thank you.
Her husband is a normal sized human being.
Meaning he's
Right.
he's cam
He's-
size.
Yeah, he's a big dude.
He's
and
a
I
big
love
dude.
him. So, and I mean, what better person to marry than a baker? You know, like if you're a big dude.
I did bake him
win-win.
a pie on our second date,
Seriously?
I did, a
Oh,
banana
it was-
cream.
It was over.
and he said he's been in love ever since.
And you come with it, right?
Yeah.
That's
yeah.
so good. So, was there ever any gap between? I mean, so we got to 15 years old, selling door to door. Like, was there
Yeah.
ever a gap where it stopped?
Like where you stop
Baking?
baking?
Right.
No, never. It was like my moment, my therapy. Even when I wasn't like selling it, like I only sold it door to door, literally for like that 1 month.
Yeah.
And then
But still, that's a great story at 15 because nobody told you to do it.
no,
Like, you loved it enough and you had a goal. You wanted a video camera. Like, that is a really cool story. So, Papa Tolbert must have done a pretty dang good job.
yeah, like I'm super goal oriented. Like I wanted like I'm gonna go get this. So
Very
let's figure out a way to go get this. Even though I'm sure if you'd have given me like 2 weeks later, I probably would have been over it. I'm like,
Right.
I don't really want a video camera. It's fine. It's fine. It was like a handheld.
I know you
camcorder.
finally buy it. That's how I am still. Like, you finally buy it and you're just like, yes.
Nah.
This is kind of boring now.
Yeah.
I have to pay for this. Anyway,
Well, so then I baked all the time though. I baked bread. We delivered bread weekly, and I'm pretty sure I graduated high school and got rid of all of my tardies because I was baking goods to the administration.
you should
Like,
be way fatter. I was just thinking that. You know, the most appropriate way, but like, you're a fit person. You're
Thank
you're
you. I
you're
mean,
very thin, right? You're a thin person.
It takes a lot
Like,
to
she
change
doesn't
children.
look like a baker because we're not just talking bake. Like, this is just carbs and sugar. Like,
well,
that's
here's the
And
thing.
lots of butter, I'm
and
assuming.
lots of butter.
tons.
But like that's all I eat. I don't eat anything else. Like I only eat carbs and sugar.
It works well for you then, I guess. Why doesn't
Like,
it work for me?
I just eat a standard. Well, you eat meat, right? There's like barbecue in there.
Well, yeah, but I would think the carbs and the sugar would be more fat producing than the barbecue.
Listen, I just eat a steady stream of candy.
Are you really? You are one of those sweet tooth people.
I love gross candy, like Skittles.
So you're skinny
and-
fat, is what you're saying.
Yeah.
That's what I always call my general manager Annie, because she never wants real food, but she will eat candy like a 5-year-old.
Oh,
But
yes.
she's super skinny. Anyway,
Yeah. Yeah. Thanks for taking it there.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah.
okay. So selling pies door to door.
Yeah. You're really stuck on that. Selling
Right.
pies door to door. I baked
No, I just
crazy.
I'm trying to fill in the gap.
Like this time span of my life, right?
Right.
I was a cook in high school at a restaurant. In college, I was a personal chef for a family. And so I cooked dinner for them every night.
So no culinary school.
no culinary school. I
but
just
you were
cooked.
kind of doing the chef thing.
I just cooked all the time.
Hold on, how'd that happen?
I just
Let's not just
this is
breeze over
why
that.
I keep going back to like the 15 thing, because you just
You're a private chef for a family in college?
Yeah. So there was this family who had, I think they had a special needs son, and
Okay.
they had the state allocated them funds to help with their special needs son. And so they used those funds to have somebody cook for him.
Okay.
And so every day I would go in and I did all their grocery shopping on a budget, and I meal planned and menu planned for them.
That
And I went
sounds
in.
like a dream.
It was fantastic. So I just went into their house and I brought their groceries and I cooked, and then I just left when dinner was served, and they did the dishes, and then I went away.
This is why the story before is so important, because it's funny that so many like self-starting entrepreneurial types, when you talk about everything leading up to it, there always seems to be these things that happen
Yeah.
that just make it almost seem like it was meant to be, like it was like predestined to happen. Like your dad with the,
Yeah.
profit, like cost of goods and profit, like you selling door to door, like to get a camera. And then this, like learning more about cost of goods,
Yeah.
learning more about shopping on a budget. I mean, all of this stuff
And you were
comes
cooking,
into it.
like full meals. You weren't
Yeah.
just like baking them desserts.
No. And I rarely would bake them desserts. I just would make food. I just cooked dinner. And that was it.
Wow.
And I did that for, I think, my freshman and sophomore year. So
Where'd you go to college?
I went to Utah State.
Okay.
And then I married my first husband. So
Right.
I moved back to Salt Lake and I worked in a data center, doing whatever, just trying to get through school and put my husband through school. And I had babies and I was still just baking. Like, it's just kind of my happy place. And again, like, I'm obsessive enough that I wanted to learn how to do things, right? Like,
So everything from scratch, like no recipes.
I'm a big believer of everything from scratch. There's always recipes. Like, there's always guidelines. Like,
Yeah.
you should always follow some sort of rule of thumb. Otherwise, why are they there?
Right.
Things work for a reason. Like, there's very scientific reasons why.
But
cakes
when's the last time
rise
you used a measuring cup?
to like hold ingredients?
See? Humble flex.
And I'm like this, the instant oatmeal. It says half a cup of water. I'm like, measuring cup, half
Mouth,
a cup of
yeah,
water.
your mouth breathing, just like,
Right? Well, and it's just something I always did. It was like my happy place, my safe place. It's what I did. I mean, I divorced my first husband and I actually was afraid to start baking after I was going, like at the very beginning when I went through my divorce. I moved back home. I had 2 little girls and they were like babies. I mean, the youngest Ruby was like, I don't know, 6 weeks old. Wow. And so I was actually afraid to start baking because I knew if I started,
You wouldn't stop.
I would not stop. Like, it was like, it took me almost like a month before I started baking. And then when I started baking, it didn't stop. Like, I just baked. And so I
so how
delivered
long
it to
ago
people
was this, what you're talking about now?
10 years ago.
Okay.
10 years ago. And actually, like right about now, 10 years ago. And I just baked always. And then I like to bake for people and I like to try new recipes and I like to explore and see what things do. And I mean, my grocery budget was always double everything else because I just wanted to do it. And I believed in doing things real. Like, and that's how June Pie is too. Like, everything is from scratch. Everything. And it's not necessarily organic or, gluten-free or anything like that.
Well,
It's
that's
like
a farce anyway.
yes, but it's real. And we try to use local ingredients, but everything, there's no like mixes and no powders and no like just add water. Like,
No,
We do.
no Krusty's pancakes?
no, like I didn't know that pancakes came from a box, like that you could have Bisquick. Like I grew up not knowing that that was a thing. My mom made pancakes from scratch and brownies from scratch. Like I didn't know you could get boxed brownies until I was like probably in high school.
Hold on, there's another way?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's on Google.
Okay.
You can Google it.
Like buy them online?
Well,
ship.
yeah. The piece of paper that tells you what to do.
Well, and so I just always baked that way. And then I became like obsessive about things, especially when I became a stay-at-home mom.
Are you like that in other areas of your life? Like obsessive?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Like if I zone in on something, like,
Yeah.
that's what I'm going to do right now. Like I wanted to learn how to knit. So I learned how to knit from a book and I just like obsessively knit everything.
Have you ever heard of attention deficit disorder?
Yeah. Very, very
Just wondering.
strong in that. Yes.
I'm hearing about a lot of wormholes here.
Yeah. Until I could find like, it all came back to like this creative outlet and everything that I was like obsessing about, right? Just always brought me back to the kitchen.
Well, it always fizzled out too, right?
Yeah.
And you went back to the thing that you love the most.
Yeah, and like once I felt like I was competent in it, I was like, okay, next. What can I do next? And it got to the point where my husband, is at his new job and
So you kind of skipped a part.
What
how
part?
How long between, getting rid of the first one?
the first one,
Right.
a
And
year.
So you were single for a year, baking during that time too, probably a
and,
nice
and
way to-
dating him. I mean, we got married like 18 months later.
So you
we,
met him pretty quick afterwards,
Yep. So Ruby was like 10 months old.
right?
And then we dated and were baking and then
So how did you guys meet?
We were set up on a blind date.
Oh, hey.
Oh, hey.
Ah,
Yeah. So his cousin is my very best friend.
okay.
And so we were set up on a blind date, and he had just gone through a divorce as well. And so,
Really?
yeah,
No kids yet, though?
no kids.
Okay.
No kids. And so I was like, this golden ticket, right? I get to have he gets to have like this instant fam. Like,
Right.
oh, I have, and they're little.
I think you
Perfect.
skipped to the golden ticket for the kids part, but I think it was more about the baking for him.
Yeah, really.
That was the
like,
bigger golden ticket for him.
Yeah, it's signed the
Because
deal.
what does
for
he
sure.
weigh? He's got to be 325. He's a big dude.
He's probably 300. He's
Yeah.
a big dude.
300.
He calls it body by pie. Or P90 pie, however you want it. Like, there's a lot of pie. There's a lot of testing.
He would be. This would be another good couple. We'll have to bring him back, but
Oh, geez.
but yeah. Okay, so 1 year, and you're baking still. Then you meet Kevin,
Baking.
Right.
Obsessively baking.
and doing this
Cooking.
with small kids.
Yeah.
And something else that popped into my mind, and a lot of people don't know this, but you're cooking in residential ovens.
Yeah. In like kitchens where counters are as big as this table.
Right. And with residential ovens, a lot of people don't know this, but when you go to a bakery or any, commercial kitchen,
Yeah.
you've got ovens that have convection. They've got fans, and you've got very even heat top to bottom,
Yep.
side to side. But in residential ovens, if your oven says 350, it can actually be 310 all the way up to 390,
Yeah.
and they still get the UL listing. So whenever you read a recipe that says bake this casserole at 350 for 20 minutes, there's a reason why it turns out different every single time, because your oven is never really consistently
Yeah. And a commercial oven varies only like 10 degrees.
right. Exactly.
Like,
That's a
and-
huge difference.
Yeah.
Right.
Like I know I have one little tiny hot spot in the back of my oven,
right.
and I know
Well, and
where
you can
that is.
take advantage of that,
Yeah,
right? Like if
like
you want
that's
crust
where I
to be a little
always
crispier on top.
rotate through and things like that. But yeah, I'm doing all of this baking, and it's all on a smaller scale, right? Like I'm doing batches of bread, and 2 or 3 pies at a time. Like I'm not doing anything crazy.
Like, how long does it take you? Did it take you to make a pie?
I don't know, even a couple hours. Like I
Okay.
mean, pie is labor intensive. It's a little
For
bit like
sure.
barbecue, right? Like
Right.
you don't get to just when we sell out a pie, people are like, "We'll make more." I'm like, that's not like how that works. Sorry. There's a reason why we don't open till the afternoon, because I made that pie fresh in the morning, and it's gotta like cook and set and chill and all of those things. So I don't know.
Did you just teach yourself all of these things? Like, did you, by trial and error, know how long to cook it for, the temperatures, how long it has to sit, if you cool it?
Yeah, I mean, I grew up baking. My mom baked pie for Thanksgiving. It wasn't like a huge treat, but my dad loved a peach pie, and so like we baked pie. And my grandma was a fantastic pie baker, and so my mom's grandma was a terrific pie baker as well, and so it was just kind of always there. And I found something very artistic about pie. One, you can put anything you want into a pie, like anything. It can be sweet. It can be
What's
savory.
the weirdest thing you've made in a pie?
Well, I think putting celery on a pie was
Ew.
probably the weirdest thing I had to do.
Gross.
Yeah, well, that celery pie made me $10,000. So it worked out.
Hold on. Say what?
We're jumping ahead of the timeline
I
here.
know. Sorry.
But yes, celery. We
Okay,
candied
we'll-
celery.
we'll
and,
come back
and pie.
to it.
Yeah.
And it was candied.
Yeah, we
I
candied
didn't know
celery.
that.
Yeah, it was still gross.
Yeah. That's,
Like nobody eats that. But we make like a chicken curry pie. It's fantastic. It's my favorite. It's my
right.
kid's favorite.
So now like the dinner pies, right? Like
Dinner
the
pies.
savory
Like
pie.
we can put whatever you want into a pie. So it gets to be like I can get obsessive about one flavor of pie, and it's still within pie. I can do sweet pies. I can do hand pies. I can do savory pies. I can do quiche. Like there's so much I can do with it, but yet I get to still live in the land of pie.
Yeah.
And because our business model is it's changing all the time, I don't get bored. Like, because if I just made the same brisket over and over again, I would be bored. I'd
I
be
don't
like,
know what you're talking about.
yeah, right? Like that to me, I'd be like, no, But that's why the menu changes all the time. Is that I'm bored. I don't want to just
Right.
keep making lemon pie. I mean, I do.
That's
It's
sad.
actually the only pie that stays on the menu
So how often does
That's
the
it.
menu change?
every week.
Every week it's something different.
Every week. Yep.
With,
Except for the lemon pie. It's the
so
only
that's the one
pie
that
that
stays.
stays
That's
on
really
the menu.
interesting.
Why?
That it's the lemon.
The lemon was kind of became our signature pie.
Pie surprised.
And I didn't mean for it to happen. It just became the one that people wanted the most. We sell it probably 3-1.
Really?
Everything else. And it's the one that we sell out every week still,
Wow.
So
6
good.
years later,
Oh my gosh.
which is great.
Do you have a favorite?
I do.
Do you have I want to break it down further. What's your favorite to make or bake, and what's your favorite to eat?
I would say my favorite to eat is called a sugar cream pie.
Oh, yum.
It is probably the homeliest pie around. It looks sad. Like, it just looks so sad. But it is so good. It's like creme brulee baked into a pie.
Oh.
Yeah, it's so good. How have you never had this?
Whoa.
I want that.
Yes. Creme brulee is like my ultimate
It's so
favorite.
good.
Gosh,
It's literally like cream and
How often
sugar.
is that on the menu?
It's on the menu fairly often because I like it so much.
So like, can we like call and find out like do you have like people calling and saying what week is this coming? Or
Yeah, I don't.
do you schedule that stuff out?
I try to.
Okay.
I'm not super great at that. I try
Plus,
to
you
have.
probably never know what you're kind of in the mood for, right?
Yeah, and now we've done it for so many years that like I have a pretty good idea of when things come on and seasonal pies and just classics. Like we know what pairings will sell well, and this maybe isn't a huge seller, but like we kind of stack the menu and things like that. Right. So
We're
now
bouncing her ahead again.
we are. You are.
Okay, so
door to door.
yeah, so 15 years old,
Oh my
door to
gosh,
door.
Stop! You guys are really okay.
Divorce.
Divorce.
Kevin. Okay, no, so
Okay, so yes, here we go. Kevin
So-
starts a new job, right? We're married. We have baby. We have 3 children. I'm bored. I'm not a good stay-at-home mom. I'm like really not a good stay-at-home mom. And so I just like get this idea that what if I just sold pie? Like, what if I just, because I'm making it anyway. At this point, I'm like just making it. And there was a cookbook that came out. Like, I get really particular. I love cookbooks. My dad has been giving me a cookbook every year for Christmas since I was like, I think my first one was a Klutz Kids cookbook, and I was like 9 years old. Literally every year, it's like my favorite thing. And if he doesn't give me a cookbook, I'm so sad. I'm like, why did you? I don't want.
Don't
I
mess
hate
that.
you, Dad.
Don't mess that up.
Don't mess
Dad.
that up. Like I wait every year for the cookbook
that's
of the
pretty
year.
cool.
But I love cookbooks, and the dream is to write one day. Like, I love it. But 4 and 20 Blackbirds is a pie company out of New York, and they're 2 sisters who wrote this cookbook. They started a pie kitchen. Their grandma or their mom owned a cafe, and then they moved to New York and they started this pie shop.
So is there weed in their pies?
I'm sure probably at some
I
point.
mean, they should really pivot with that name,
I'm sure.
right? With things now.
4 and 20 Blackbirds.
That's what I'm saying. Anyway, sorry.
So they wrote this cookbook, and it is a phenomenal cookbook. One of the best
look it
cookbooks
up.
I have ever read in terms of like instructions and breaking down. It looks beautiful. It tells their story, but
Could you try again?
easy Siri.
Siri, yeah, she's
She's mad at you.
hater.
But so I started reading this cookbook and started feeling like I could do this. I mean, I have time. And what if we just did something like small, something that
So this is a pie book, not just a cookbook.
this is a pie.
Right.
This is a pie specific cookbook and just sweet pies.
Right.
And it was like, what? Okay, what if we just sold them on Instagram? And it was like this idea that I was hatching in my mind, and I didn't tell anybody about it, which is very unlike me. Like I'm like a talker through. Like I want to sit and talk and like work through it, and then I'm good. I didn't with this. I just like sat on it and started like stewing. Like, okay, what if it would cost me this much money, and I would need this, and I would need this, and like the running lists of like all the things that I would need to do. And it was like, okay, not that big of a deal. Like I'll get an extra fridge for the garage. I'll buy a box of pie boxes and a box of tins and a rubber stamp with our logo on it and a domain name, and I'll build the website, and I've got time. Like I don't need to rush it. Like I want to make sure when we announce this that like it's good. And so then I went to my husband with like kind of this hatched idea. And it was like, I never went to culinary school because truly I wanted to make sure that I didn't ruin my love and my passion for this, because I knew it was something I truly did love to do. And I found joy and safety in the kitchen, and something I was good at, something that wasn't challenging for me. I didn't get overwhelmed by like complicated recipes, and there was some talent there. Like
There's really something to be said about that. I think it's funny when I teach barbecue classes, what seems so simple to me,
yeah.
and I am not the sharpest tool in the shed. Like people have a really hard time grasping it. And I think it's because they overthink it, right?
Yeah.
But it is, I think there are a lot of people. Yeah. Well,
what's easy to you?
Listen, Andrew, you're right. I still haven't. I'm working on it.
No, everyone does.
We all are.
Everyone does. Whatever's easy for you, you assume it's going to be easy to someone else.
Well, and that's the thing. Like, it's just like, oh my gosh, athleticism. Like, some people just are more naturally gifted with it, and I've come to the conclusion that cooking is the same way.
Yeah.
You can touch fire with your hands. And
I
not
can
feel it.
actually. See, that's pretty cool. It's like that's like a superpower.
It
Yeah, like you
is.
could be an Avenger.
I put out a fire on my lawnmower last night.
With your
And
bare
I
hands.
just threw a towel on it, but I put my hands right into it, burned a little hair off.
And you
but
didn't even think twice about it.
No.
No.
So yeah, anyway.
Well, I mean, I had to kind of come up with this like plan to
Right.
convince my husband that we could do it.
What's his reaction?
He was like, okay. I mean, he's not a risk taker in any aspect of his life. Like, he's like slow and steady. He doesn't rush to any conclusions. It takes him a very long time to like, I always joke, I'm like, are you still praying over those pair of sneakers? Like, just buy the sneakers. Like, it's fine. And I'm not. I'm like, okay, let's go. Switch it out.
Right.
Next.
So was he like okay with it because he was like, oh, she's not going to do this, so I'm just going to say yes, so we don't have to worry about it?
Oh, no. He knew that like,
She's going to do it anyway.
I was going to probably
Right.
that I was going to do it anyway. But like, because I had just been mulling this over in my mind and like kind of secretly making my plans, I didn't even tell like my mom or my sister about it. I was like, I got to just
do you think deep down you were scared of like rejection or people staying, you didn't want to hear someone say that's a bad idea?
No, I was just more or less like wanted, if I was going to throw it out there, I needed to be able to commit to it.
It feels like more like, Dad, don't pay for my stuff. I want to do it on my own.
A little bit more
that's
like
kinda
that,
what
where
that feels
I'm like, if I'm going to throw this out there and say I'm ready to do
You
it.
don't want to commit to it.
Yeah, I
out
better be
loud.
ready. Like, if I'm going to say it out loud,
It's going to happen.
it's going to happen.
Yeah.
And I got to be able to be okay with that because it is going to be a time commitment. But yeah, at the same time, I'm like, I have these 3 kids and they're not like babies anymore. They're just at my feet all the time. And so,
Well, and you did not have I remember the house, right?
Yeah.
Like, you did not have a very conducive
no,
space for
we lived in this
baking.
little rental.
You didn't have a wing with the kitchen.
Yeah, no.
No.
It wasn't a chef's kitchen or whatever they call it.
Like this oven
It
was
was pretty
probably
small.
25 years old, and literally the counter was like this big.
Right.
And I had a spare fridge in the garage, which was my biggest expense. And I remember when I like tallied it all up. I told my husband about it, and I went on this trip actually with my mom and my sister. We went to Seattle, and I said, I think I'm gonna sell pie on Instagram. I think I'm gonna do it. And at that point, like I already had a name. I already had kind of like doodled the logo. Like
Were you active on Instagram at the time?
No, I wasn't. I did have the Instagram name,
Okay.
but nothing had happened about it.
I think it's funny that you say Kevin really thinks things through and goes slow, and
This was the
You
only
put a
decision.
lot of thought into
like
this
maybe
one.
besides like marrying Kevin, and this decision might have been like the only time I was like super methodical about it because I knew that I was like, okay, if I do this, like, I think I could do it.
How much did it cost?
It's like $275.
Oh
to
my
start
gosh,
out.
that is so awesome.
Like, and I
that
remember
was just a fridge or what?
it was like a fridge. I bought a fridge for like $100 that I used like.
So you're not
garage-
buying a commercial fridge.
Oh no,
You
this
just
was
bought-
like a spare, like, again, because it was like, look, and I got to the point where I was like, what's going to happen if it doesn't work?
What's the worst case scenario, right?
Then it didn't work.
Yeah.
Like, it didn't work. And I know like that sounds so like trivial, like for people who are like, well, I'm like, what's the worst? Okay, we're out $275. Like that was the worst thing that happened. Like, and I tried it and I wanted to know, like, could I really do this obsessively and still want to bake for my family? I still wanted to be able to want to make cookies with my kids.
Right.
Like I didn't want to be so focused on that I didn't want to do this. And so I said, let's just try it. I'm just going to try it. Like I got nothing else going on. I'm just hanging out.
I mean, that's not totally true.
Not totally true, but it kind of felt that way where I was like bored.
You
I
just
was
had
bored.
spare energy. You needed something
So
else to
much
do.
energy.
Right.
I needed something else to do. I could only like just stay at home and like blow bubbles with my kids for so long. Like I just couldn't do it. I was not very good at it. Like I didn't find it fulfilling. Like I like to be busy. I'm a person who likes to wake up early and do things, and I feel better when I do those things. And so just like folding the laundry, it was not my thing.
Right.
And if I had all week to fold the laundry. I never folded the laundry. But if you like stagger my day and I'm like up at 4, I've got this, and this, like
This is
it'll get folded.
ADHD to a T, people.
Yes.
This is absolutely the definition of it.
And then we started, and I just said, let's do
So
it.
how did you sell your first pie?
Well, so we came up with, Kevin kind of helped me work through if we keep the menu simple, because it was a weird thing, right? We were going to sell them on Instagram. We were going to say, look, on Tuesday, I'm going to have 5 sour cream lemon pies.
And like, can you ship them anywhere, or were you just trying
We
to stay
didn't
local?
ship them anywhere.
Okay.
Like it was, you come to my doorstep and you pick them up,
Got it.
which is bizarre to think about now that my safety first husband allowed total strangers to come to my house between the hours of 3 and 5 p.m. and pick up pie.
Wow.
And I think because I live in this great community where I've grown up there, I've been baking for all the members of this community my whole life. Like I kind of already had this reputation, and I wanted to make sure that the product that you got from my house didn't look like it came from a home. That was the number one key. Like I
What
wanted,
does that mean?
meaning that the box looked nice and that
Okay.
the pie looked nice, and that when you came to pick it up from my home was clean, and that you weren't like, "Ugh, hold on.
It wasn't
That
like
came
sometimes like when you get a meal delivered to your house and you're like,
Yeah.
eat
It
or
could be a little sketchy.
yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, I got my food handler's permit again, and like I wanted to make sure that like I was doing this as legit as I could, because again, I had time to make sure that like all my T's were crossed and my I's were dotted. Like, and I wanted to make it consistent. Like, if we're gonna do it, let's do it really well, right? Like our boxes were all stamped, and so there was some brand consistency right out the get go, and we kept like we didn't want to make it too complicated for people, right? Like we don't want to give them options. If you give people options, they don't want to buy it. They get overwhelmed.
True.
They're like, I don't know. And because they're like commenting, like, I want one of those, they don't want to have to choose. Like, let's make it as simple as possible.
Yeah.
I only want them to respond, yes, I'll take one.
Yep.
So it was 1 pie a day for 3 days a week. So I made 5 pies of that one flavor. So there were only like
Really?
5 lemon pies available on Tuesday. And then on Wednesday, there was like 5 banana. On Friday, there was 5 chocolate. And that's it. That's how it started. So 15 pies a week, 3 flavors.
Wow.
And when you started, is that kind of as far as you had gotten, like as far as planning? Is like,
Yeah, I just wanted to see if it would work, if
Okay.
I could manage it, and if it would work. Like there truly wasn't a huge end goal in this. It was like, I'm baking this many pies a week anyway. Let's make some money on it. Let's see. And we priced it out where every pie was $20. So some pies we made more money on, some pies we made less money on, and we felt like it would even itself out. But people are coming to your doorstep, right? It's easier if it's just $20. And this is before
Did you
Venmo.
ever sell them by the slice, or is it always
No.
the full pie?
We always sold them by the full pie
Okay.
in the beginning.
Well, and you were sold out 2 weeks in advance.
Well, never 2 weeks in advance because I was never that good at
Well,
the menu.
that's true.
But yeah, it would always sell out really fast. And so the first week I sold out, and I was like, wait, what? Hold on.
Dang.
And did it all come from Instagram?
Yeah, we sold, and then sometimes with Facebook, but mostly Instagram.
Okay.
Mostly Instagram, and people just would tag and say, here we are. And then 5 pies a day, 3 days a week lasted for 2 weeks. And then it was 6 pies a day, 3 days a week.
How
For
many
a
could you
couple
cook at a time with the residential oven? Could you do 2 or just do 1 at a time?
4. I could do 4.
Oh, you did 4. Okay.
I could do 4. Well, oh my gosh, I don't even know. Maybe 3? I'm thinking like size wise in the oven. Probably 3.
Wow.
Yeah, 3, because in my mixer I could do a double batch and get 6 crusts, and then double round in the oven I could get 6. 6.
We got to get pictures of
Oh my gosh.
that kitchen
Yes.
It's
to
so
like
bad.
what she has now.
It's so
Crazy. Like hearing you say my mixer.
bad. Yeah.
Like was it KitchenAid Bosch? What was it?
It was a KitchenAid.
Oh my gosh.
That was my KPS. This KitchenAid was my mom's.
Wow.
That I took to college. It was like 20 years old. It was like a 4-quart KitchenAid. And it didn't even dawn on me that I could like go buy a new one. I was like, it's fine. And I remember so vividly like going to Harmon's, because I was going to Costco to like buy the ingredients and like price them out and like fluctuate. But I remember going to Harmon's and they had a banana slicer. And it was like $9. And it's just like this weird like banana slicer. And I was like, I don't think I can do it. Like a knife works.
I
fine.
want that.
Too much. That's too much. Of
It
a
was like too
commitment.
much of a thing. And now I look in the shop and I have like 20 of them because I can. And, you know, we go through a lot of them. But
So I have to ask. A lot of times when people are doing something for free, it's fun. As soon as you start charging for it, it's like, oh my gosh. Did you ever have
A whole
that
new
moment?
pressure.
no,
You never did.
no, because then it was like, okay, I'm going to go buy a new bicycle. Okay.
Right.
So how many pies do I have to sell so I can buy a new road bike?
So this is just like that time when you were 15.
Yeah, it became
Knocking
just like,
doors.
Yeah, a little bit. Where
Right.
it was like, let's just see, because at this point it was like my husband had started a new job in sales, so his like commission checks and things like that weren't. I mean, he was just starting out, and it wasn't quite there yet, and so I was just like building our savings, and I was paying for it. And I remember when I made $275, I took it out and put it aside so that I always had covered my costs. Like I was never going to be out anything. So if I quit doing it, it was okay.
That's what I do when I play
Take
blackjack.
some chips off the table, put them in your pocket.
Yep.
Yeah, it really was just like, look, I'm just
never
going to go. Well, and I think somewhere probably in an envelope is still the $275. Like I just wanted to
Typical
make
life. You lose cash. I'm finding cash all over the place in my house.
Yeah, that was a problem.
Wow.
But it just kind of grew, and there was this demand for it, and people talked about it. And I don't think it could have ever happened really anywhere else other than the Heber Valley. Like I grew
Right.
up there. People knew my name. They knew who I was. They knew my own baking reputation a little bit. And people shared pie. They
So
shared
I
it.
found out about it.
Yeah, I was actually trying to think. I was like, how did
I
Cam?
think it was my sister Tiffany. Have you heard of this June Pies?
Maybe.
And she's out in Daniel. I'm like, what?
Yeah.
Anyway, and
And there it was.
we're coming to get my first one.
And then the rest was history.
The rest was history, and here we are.
When did you start going from 6 to 7? Like, what was the next step?
Then we went from, then it was like 6 pies. Then it was 2 flavors a day. We added a second flavor, still 6. Because again,
Is it only you
it's
making?
only me.
Okay.
It's always only me before my kids are awake and while they're at nap time. And again, like pickup is between 3 and 5 p.m. so that pies are all done by the time my husband comes home from work ish.
Oh, like, so, wow.
So it's like, I wanted to make sure that,
It didn't like eat into the family time.
yeah, like it didn't, and that my house wasn't a wreck when my husband came home from work, because I was like, had this new weird hobby that was like, is it really worth it? Like there's flour everywhere, because there is.
Yeah.
It feels like it's never ending. The amount of flour now, I'm sure my husband's like, okay, I'm done with the flour that's everywhere. But it just like grew. And then we added fresh flavors. And then
What do you mean by fresh flavor?
like we added more seasonal flavors.
Okay.
Like the ruby red pie came to be, right? My oldest daughter's name is June, and my other daughter's name is Ruby. And so
Gotcha.
a fresh strawberry pie became a ruby red pie. And then
Is there an actual June pie that just like
No.
like a flavor?
no, and that
Okay.
is the debate between the sisters, where Ruby's like, I have a pie named after me. How cool is that? And Ruby and Stella looks at her and goes, I have a whole company.
The mothership's named after me.
Yeah, exactly. Because my oldest daughter's name is Stella June.
Right.
And I always called her June from the time she was baby. And so I'm probably the only one who does call her June. But which is why people are like, where did June pie come from?
Right.
Stella June. And it just evolved. And then we added dinner pies, and they were a huge hit. And then we did one dinner pie a week. And then, which I can't, we did
One
a lot.
flavor a
One
week.
flavor, one
Okay.
flavor of dinner pie a week. And I actually think back now, I was looking at some pictures, and it's like freezing cold outside. There's snow outside, and I have like pies sitting on the back deck, chilling
Wow.
in the snow. And there was like a lot of them. Like I would do probably 16 to 20 dinner pies, which again, if you think about the space that I had,
Right.
is insane. And then we added hand pies. And this is the time where like
And
we're
all of this is still in your house, out of
still
your
in my
kitchen.
house, out of my one kitchen and my one fridge. And then came Thanksgiving. And
Oh, dang.
well, I guess before Thanksgiving happened, Studio 5 heard about us, and they did a piece on us. And it aired like
I remember that.
weeks before Thanksgiving. And
I
it
thought
was
the health
insane.
department was going to come to your house after that aired.
Yeah.
It's like, she's going to get in trouble.
Yeah, I thought so too. But they didn't come for a while later.
Not that you were doing anything
But this
bad.
is before,
it was just,
like,
you know,
had to
you
have.
can't really sell food out of your house.
No.
You know, like that's
There's
why.
some gray areas. You can't sell, you can't sell the same thing day after day. Well, I wasn't selling the same thing. I had different pie flavors.
Listen, when the health department has to worry about something like that, that's
That
they're
they
not
have
doing
to-
their
yeah.
they're not doing their job. Like
And then Thanksgiving happened, and our first Thanksgiving, we made 145 pies.
with a residential
Hold on, what?
oven.
145 pies
By myself in one day.
in one day.
And all I could do was pray that the weather was cold so that they would stay in my garage. Like,
How does that even work?
So
you
you
can
had to
only
walk
fit
in?
3 pies in an oven.
yeah, you do the math. It was a lot.
Carry the one.
I think for Thanksgiving, I went to my mom's house. They were out of town, and I went to my mom's house, and she had 3 ovens. And so I used her ovens. But I had to haul them back to my house. I'd go back and forth. And it was like, I look back now and go, how did I do that?
You gotta really love something.
And it was like this challenge. It was fun. I loved it.
What year was this?
2014. And then Christmas came, and we didn't do as many for Christmas because I was like a little bit tired after
I was gonna say
Thanksgiving.
Still worn out from Thanksgiving.
It happens they kind of combo up together. And then that January after that, we got a notice that we had to stop selling pies out of our house.
Did find you.
And it wasn't even the health department that found us. It was the city planners who we had been turned in for parking.
I figured I was gonna ask that question.
And it was like never, because you guys, most people don't buy just one pie. Like
Right.
when we were doing multiple flavors, like you bought a dinner pie and a dessert pie. And so we only had like maybe 6 people come in the 3-hour time frame. So it's not that big. It's no different than like a daycare pickup.
Did you ever? That's a good point.
Yeah.
Did you ever find out who told on you?
Yes.
Oh.
What's their names?
You know what? I don't remember who their name was, but they were the bakery manager at a,
Oh,
It was the competition.
it was
shoot.
the grocery store bakery manager.
Shut your mouth.
Yeah.
What grocery store?
It was Days.
Oh, that's messed up.
And he like came and bought pie, and he's like, I'm just only here to test it. I just got to see what my competition is. And I was like, okay.
Oh.
And then I saw him at the grocery store like the next day. I'm like, hey, how did you like your pie? And he's like, well, the pie pan was really good. And I was like,
What a dick.
okay, cool. So I mean, he was a very short term bakery manager there. Not
Is
a
he
big
still
deal.
in the valley?
I honestly can't even remember his name.
Okay.
Well, we got to figure his name out because we
No.
can publicly state it,
No,
and
it's
then
fine.
people will
It's
tell
fine.
you if he's
It was
there
a
or
good
not.
push. It was a good push because I don't know if I would have we had to
Again,
decide if
everything
we were going
happens
to
for a
leave.
reason.
Like we had to decide if we were going to leave and what we were going to do. Like, and it was a very much so. Are we going to go find a new kitchen?
So you
what are
keep
we going to
saying
do?
are you referring to your husband?
I guess I mean yes, that decision had to happen with him, but he didn't have anything to do with June pie.
Yeah.
Like, and he didn't want anything to do with June. Like it was
I
fine.
disagree.
I mean, he was a taste tester.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's a big deal.
And my family was the taste tester. I think my family is still so tired of pie. Where I'd be like,
That's
okay, I have this
ridiculous.
pie. Well, there
I
are a
think
lot
you're
of
wrong.
taste testing where I'm like, okay, wait, what about this one? Okay, but this one, Tammy, it tastes the same.
I'd like to be on the beta team from here on out.
Okay.
So
All
when you want to test new product, I'm in.
Okay. Done.
Yes.
I mean,
Oh my gosh.
I know. We actually have a new pie coming out next week.
Are we allowed to talk about it yet?
Your episode's going to drop next week, so it'll be perfect timing.
We are going to have a new pie next week, and I'm pretty excited about it.
Can
What
we
is
have
it?
the exclusive?
Sure.
Like the first place where people can hear, or have you posted it already?
I mean, I did tease it, but I didn't announce anything. There was just that there was a new pie coming.
What is it?
I need a name for it.
We'll come up with it right
This
now.
would be great.
would be
We'll let
great.
the listeners figure it out.
So, I mean, it's okay. June pie, we don't do any funny names. The Ruby Red pie is the only pie that gets its own name because of Ruby. And it's actually super annoying because people are like, what's in a Ruby Red pie? I'm like, it's a fresh strawberry pie.
So I
Oh,
would
okay.
have thought like a rhubarb, right?
Right?
Yeah.
Well, we just call that the strawberry rhubarb.
Really?
Yeah. Like we don't chicken pot pie. Like,
What's in it?
Chicken and pot.
again, the goal is to never confuse the customers. Like what we do is
No, and
kind of
that's
confusing
smart.
anyway. Like
Right.
the menu changes every week. I have to order it on Instagram. Like I can't just go any day of the week and get whatever I want. Like what? So we keep the same model all the time. Even now, right? Every Tuesday and Wednesday we make a dinner pie and 2 dessert pies. Thursday is always hand pie day. Friday, is our seasonal fruit pies. So it exponentially compounds. Like you can pick up your dinner pies and then like we like prep them and get them ready. So by the end of the week, like we're still making like the same flavors fresh, but we've like already prepped and like almost gotten them there.
Right.
So, but people still struggle with that. Like, wait, I can't get a hand pie. It's Tuesday. I'm like, nope, you've never been able to get a hand pie on a Tuesday. Never, ever. Like, we've never done that. And so I think that we kept our brand the same. Like this logo, like the June pie is the same. That's my handwriting that I digitized. Like that's the same from the very, very beginning.
Wow.
And the look of the pie is the same.
Right.
Like the lemon pie looks the same. And so we keep some consistency and some brand. And I'm not sure I realized I was doing that until way later down the line where somebody pointed it out. Like, oh, you have such good brand consistency. I'm like, huh?
I like the rolling pin window.
Right? It's good, huh?
Pretty cool.
Because we are very adamant that we roll everything by hand. I don't use any dough sheeters.
Okay. So what's the new pie?
Yeah, I was going to say, what's the new pie?
It's a Chicago deep dish pie.
Whoa.
Oh, your face right now.
What?
Shut the hell up. Like
What
pizza?
What else?
Yeah.
Like pepperoni sausage.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's my mom's spaghetti sauce
Oh
that
my
cooks
God.
for like 18 hours. Slow cooks.
Can we call it the nitty gritty because it is going to be so
The
good?
nitty- No, nobody would know what that is.
That's okay.
It would be so confusing. People would be like, what's in the nitty gritty? And I'd have to be like, oh my gosh, it's a deep dish pie. No, so it has sausage, hamburger, pepperonis, mozzarella, and a tomato sauce.
What day?
I think it's coming Wednesday next week on a limited release. Like we have it
Go
on
to
a,
Hebrew next Wednesday.
Yes, I do.
we'll put you down for
Oh
some.
my gosh,
We'll
I
put
can't
some down for
wait.
some.
I'm 100%. I love Chicago deep dish pizza.
Okay.
I buy it from Chicago and have
Okay,
them
have it
ship it
shipped?
to me.
Okay. Well, that's what we did. We tested one. We had it shipped.
Giordano's.
Yes. And I've been like toying with this in the back of my mind. I've been thinking like, what if we did not a crust on top and we put like bread cheese on top? So it was like this like layer. And then it was like, no, because I worried that it would be too much meat to crust ratio. But having had a Chicago deep dish pie, like it's not.
No.
Apparently not. Like, and
Got plenty of
this
dough
is,
to work
I'm not going to lie, you guys, this is a hard pie for me because I like really hate bolognese sauce. Like meat, tomato sauce, I hate it.
Why?
I don't know. I always have since I was like a small child.
What's funny is I don't love it.
I hate it.
Tomato sauce?
I like fresh tomato, like just tomato sauce. But if you put ground meat in it, I'm like,
What?
So
You're-
you don't. It's like spaghetti's a no for you.
if it's just like a plain tomato sauce, fine. Like I like pasta. But if you put meat in that, I'm like,
Supposed to have meat in it.
I'm not gonna lie. The very first time I consistently started eating meat was when I started coming to Bam Bam's
Nice.
because
Really?
I like barbecue and good barbecue, but like I do not. So this was a hard pie. I've been sitting on this flavor for like almost 2 years because I was like, oh my gosh, the thought of having to taste this over and over again to like
So-
make sure it's right is too much.
That's incredible.
So does it take longer to cook than other pies? Because like to cook one of those suckers takes forever on like the pizza side.
A dinner pie takes a long time anyway. A
Yeah.
dinner pie is going to take like 45 minutes to an
Okay.
hour anyway to make and to cook. Even though like everything is cooked inside, it's still like takes a long time
Yeah.
to cook it. And so this one is there. So it's coming next week.
Oh, I can't
We've been
wait.
tasting it for days.
So
House.
where can they order it? Because
No.
so this episode comes out on Monday.
Oh, perfect. Here we go.
So we're gonna sell out of the Chicago pie.
Yeah, it needs a name though. Do we just call it like the deep dish? The Chicago deep dish?
Called the Jordan to Pippin.
Yes. The Chicago pie?
Or the Shy. You could call it the Shy. Like Shy Town.
No.
I think it's just got to be like Chicago Deep, or it's got to say Deep something.
Yeah. Because you knew what I said. I mean, like you knew what that was.
Right.
And
Yep.
It was a deep dish pie.
Yep.
I mean, you could just call it the deep dish, like pizza pie or something
Yeah.
like that.
So we'll figure that out.
Wow.
We got to get that
Oh, I'm really
taken care of.
excited right now.
Me too.
Yeah, it's
And
gonna
I'm
be good.
so hungry right now that it sounds
I know.
so good.
It's been a long day.
It has for you guys.
For you guys.
Stop it.
It's been long too. Well, yeah, I kind of messed up on my fast, but
It's okay.
anyway. All right. So
love you.
when did we get to the point to jump to the next level?
Well, if you recall, you asked to be a part of June Pie.
That's right. I forgot about that.
You're basically the reason June Pie is what it is. And you not ever calling me back was basically the reason why June pie is what it is.
That's funny. I totally forgot about that.
What happened?
Cam wanted in on it.
Right. No, I wanted a dessert here, right? Like
No,
we
you wanted
to-
like equity in on it.
I
Like,
did?
yeah. Remember we went to
You
your
were
kitchen?
such a shark.
We went to
Yeah,
your
it was.
kitchen and you were like, this is going to be good. Barbecue and pie go hand in hand. Like
Right.
you do things like
That's
I
what-
do things.
right.
And like we were in it. And I was like,
Well, it's
yeah,
a lost
we are.
art. It's an
It's a
old school
yeah.
Americana type
We
art.
literally roll and crimp those crusts by hand every day.
Right.
Nobody does that anymore. Nobody.
No, but right.
So, I mean, we went to your kitchen, we tested it out, and you were like, yeah, you just like outsource it. And I was like,
Outsource what?
like the production of pie. I was like, I don't want to do that.
Cam was trying to make it all big business.
Wait.
Yeah, you
What
was.
did outsource? I would have never said to outsource.
Well, essentially, like, come here, we'll, you know,
Oh, that's
production
right. To
your
make more,
recipes
right.
to make more, to like mass produce these things. And I was like,
Right.
I am for sure not at that point in my life where I could give that up. Like, I am still in my home kitchen doing this.
Right.
And it came back and it was like, what he's asking, he wants, you know, equity in this, right? Like, let's business out. And I was like, what he's asking is like, basically it would cost me like 25 grand to build out a kitchen. Is it worth it? Nah, it's not worth it.
It's
I could
so
do it.
funny.
I could
don't
do it.
remember any of this. It's
Oh, it
so
was like pivotal
crazy.
moment in our lives. Like, okay, I could do it. Cause like, why are you scared to make more pie? Like clearly there's a demand.
Right.
People want these pies. I'm selling out like crazy. Like, and part of me's like, I always like want to do more. Like, well, last week I did this many. And like, how am I going to do this week? You know, like I'm always competing with myself. But what was holding me back from like actually having a real deal commercial kitchen? And it was like, I'm terrified of having to like manage my taxes and like
Right.
all of like the logistical things like scare me. Like I'm overwhelmed by all of that. I think my dad was like, well, then hire an accountant. Done. Like that's what they're there for. Like hire a bookkeeper. Okay. What's the problem? Like Cam wants to like have this equity. He's got like this kitchen. You can go down there and like you can bake there and it'll like be this whole thing. But like really, he's already like all he's giving you is the convenience of having it already figured out. And it's really not like that hard to figure out.
Right.
I mean, it was because I had no idea what I was doing.
That's
still
what gave
don't
you the
know.
push to figure it out.
Yeah, it was like, okay, and that,
You're
and that-
welcome.
thank you. I know. Right?
For
Thank
once,
you for
me
never
not
calling me
people back paid off.
Right?
Usually I get yelled at for that.
No, it was fine. We still remained friends and we did pies here for a long time and it was good. It was like, I just needed a little bit of push to say, look, you can do this.
Right.
And to figure out the logistics in my brain. Like, okay.
Well, hey, cooking 50 pies in a commercial kitchen is a heck of a lot easier than making 10 in your house.
So the more pies we make, the easier it is.
Absolutely.
Like, and then I teamed up with a florist. And so then I didn't have to take on a rent in a building all by myself. And I could still maintain like our weird hours. Then I didn't have to be there all the time. It wasn't like this big commitment. And then like it just evolved. And then we added online ordering. So you weren't just like adding them to your Instagram account anymore. Then you could
Right.
come in and just buy them. And then we added more pies and more flavors. And then we were open 5 days a week. And then we were open on Saturday. Like everything was just an organic growth. And I always wanted to make sure that everything that we were producing in the kitchen is something that if all of my staff, if everybody like no showed, I could still manage, which at this point is a little bit silly to think about because that's like not how that works anymore. Right? Like at some
Well,
point
it
you have
does
to
help
grow.
for when you want to fire people
Yeah.
to know that you can handle it on your own.
I got it. I got this. Like,
There's some times where you really do want to do that.
and sometimes you're like, I know that you think I don't know how to do this anymore, but I still got this.
That's funny because that does happen a lot. Like they
Yeah.
they think you forget. Sometimes I'll do that here just to show them that I'm still the best at what they do.
yeah. Me
Like
too.
whether it's cutting or running the cash register or what. Anyway,
I
but-
still sometimes like jump in on the crust crimping competition. Like, you think I don't do this anymore, but watch this. I can still crimp that crust faster than you can. I can still roll that faster than you can.
So, what is the record for pies in a day as of right now?
Well, Thanksgiving is always our biggest day
Okay.
because whether you like pie or not, you eat pie.
Yep.
And most people don't just show up with one single pie. You come with like almost a pie per person attending your Thanksgiving dinner.
Yep.
And so this last year we did 3,600 pies in a day.
Oh my god!
I was expecting like a couple hundred.
no.
Oh no, so on average, I should have prefaced that. Like on average now we make about 600 to 700 pies a week.
Whoa, you did.
Dang.
Say that number again.
We did 3,500 pies last Thanksgiving
In one day?
in one day. So the bake starts Sunday night and we bake 24/7 until
Was this
Wednesday.
all pumpkin or a mix?
Oh no, so we do 9 flavors on Thanksgiving.
Wow.
So pumpkin, pecan,
All sweet
apple,
pies?
all sweet pies. We don't do any savory pies for Thanksgiving.
Okay.
Turkey and stuffing.
We
pie
do that
would be
the week
amazing.
before. We do that pie. We did it this week. Our
Really?
Thanksgiving leftover. Turkey, stuffing, cranberries.
What's the
mashed
next
potatoes,
biggest
gravy.
day besides Thanksgiving?
Probably Father's Day.
Really?
Wow.
Men love pie.
Men do love pie.
Do you see men walking into cupcake shops?
Yes.
Men love pie and women
just
don't make
kidding.
pie.
It's true.
So it's a big day. And Pie Day is a big day. Like
Everything we like, most women aren't into.
that's not true.
Zing.
I am refraining from all inappropriate things to come out of my mouth right now because my mom will listen to this.
I'm sorry. So 3,500 pies. You're 15. You're knocking door to door. Now here we are at 3,500 pies in one freaking day.
But seriously,
all
could you
because of
ever,
me
in your wildest dreams,
being
could
a
have
shark.
imagined that that's where you ended up?
No. And that was never the goal. That was like never the end goal because even if you look at me now and say like, what do you do for a living? I'm like, I bake pie. It's not I'm an entrepreneur or I'm a business owner
Okay, so-
or I'm like, that's never what I say.
Right.
I bake pie.
So here's another funny thing. Pie, not pies.
That's funny.
Not
I had
cake
the
or
exact same
cakes.
thought with Lego.
Pie.
It's not
Or
Legos.
Legos.
It's Lego.
I bake pie. That's all.
Wow.
That's all I do. I just bake pie. And so I never think of myself like, and that's been my challenge over the last year is like, okay, you're kind of like, we're making a lot of pie.
You're kind of a big deal.
I'm not, but I'm not just me out of my house doing this on my own. Like
Right.
I have employees, I have staff, I have lots of tax. Like I'm a functioning business.
So are people...
I'm like real
Right.
now. Like it's like a real
With the
thing.
storefront, Main Street,
Yeah,
Heber.
Main
Like,
Street.
it's awesome.
I have my own building.
Do you ship?
We are working on it.
Okay.
Like we've been trying to logistically figure that all out.
Oh, so now you want to mass produce, huh?
Yeah, but
Interesting.
Still, interesting. But still by
Someone's
hand.
thinking ahead.
Still by hand. No dough sheeters are allowed.
So you had 3,500, obviously not people because people are buying more than one, but
Yeah.
that many people show up.
Yeah, and we do for Thanksgiving we do pop-up shops. So some years we've come here to Bam Bam's and done it, and people pick up pies here. Or this last year we did Nyman Ski Shop in Utah County, and then we do a store location at the store. Have you guys ever been to the grocery store called The Store?
No.
Okay, it's this fantastic grocery store called The Store
Where?
on 6200 South in Highland Drive, and it's been there for like 30 years. Even
Called
maybe
The
more.
Store.
It's called The Store. And then they had one on 4500 South called The Store 2. And then they had one in Midway called Midway's The Store. And people get very confused when I'm like, yeah, we have pies at The Store.
They're like, yeah,
They're
which
like,
one?
okay, what are your hours at the store? I'm like, no, it's like a grocery store. It's a fine foods market. And they specialize in local Utah foods.
Okay.
It's a fantastic market. When I was the first newlywed, we lived not too far from there, and it was like my favorite place to go
Interesting.
because it's like the funnest bodega style grocery store around. And that was kind of our next shift is we opened the pie shop on Main Street in 2015, almost exactly a year after we started it out of my house. And we went 2 years there, and then a year there, and the Food Network called on a July afternoon and said, we have this show and we want you to come on it. And I was like, excuse me, what? So we need you to fill out this application. You could do it and come on it. Bake pie. It's like a pie baking competition show. And I was like, okay. Okay. So we did. And we were called up to go compete on this show called the Sugar Showdown is what it was called. And we went to Toronto and we filmed it. And like, that was the hardest summer of my life because I obsessively baked testing pies, potential pies for that show, like around the clock because I was not going to lose.
Right.
I was not going to lose. I was not going to go there and lose because why? Like, why would I even bother doing that if I was going to go lose? And so we went and we had to bake a pie that resembled ants on a log. Remember ants on a log? Like celery, peanut butter, and raisins.
Oh,
That was the celery pie.
So that was our celery pie. So we made a peanut butter custard. We candied celery. We chopped up celery like really, really small.
Did you know that was what was going to happen before you went?
They do where they give you like, it's going to be one of these 3 types of pie.
Okay.
Like, you're going to have, it was like,
So you didn't have to come up with that
tailgating
idea
pie.
on the spot
no,
up there.
they give you like, it's either going to be like a tailgating pie flavor or playground flavor and like these would be the ingredients. Now I can't remember what like the other one was. But so I had to find pies that were for all of these and obsessively. And you only had 30 minutes to bake the pie. That's like cooking a brisket in 30 minutes. Like that doesn't happen. Maybe an hour in your world, but like it still doesn't happen. Like how do you come up with a pie that you can do in 30 minutes?
for real.
And so I was like stressed because I was still just baking pies kind of like we hadn't really grown. I hadn't like really pushed it farther than I was. Like I was still just kind of organically doing it. People were still trying to figure this out. Like I'm never advertising.
Right.
I'm never like reaching out to anybody to do this.
Right.
And people are still buying pies. Anyway, we win with the celery pie with ants on a log. And it's so gross.
So just celery inside of the pie.
Well, we did a peanut butter custard and then we did a layer of candied celery. So we chopped it up really, really small and we sugared it. And so we candied it and then we piped peanut butter and then raisins. So it looked like ants on a log, each slice that you got. And
It's funny. I've never heard that called ants on a log before. Why is that? Yeah, I never have. Just
I bet if
celery
you
with peanut
Googled
butter
ants
and-
on a log, that's what would come up.
Ants on a log. Mr. Miller.
But it was like a big moment, right? We won $10,000. And that was huge. Like we had to keep it quiet we went in July and the episode didn't air until January.
Oh, wow.
And so, right, they withhold your winnings.
Yep.
At that point, I had outgrown the florist that was with us and he wanted to go a different direction and I had outgrown him. So it was like the best of both worlds. So I took over the whole space. At the same time, like I took all of our winnings and I dumped it into the pie shop, and then here I was, like a real deal owner. I
Wow.
had this pie shop.
That's cool.
It's crazy.
Right. It's so crazy and it's so cool that now it's not just a commercial kitchen. I mean, it's a full storefront,
Yeah.
which is a whole nother set of
Well, and
know,
it's an interesting
responsibilities.
storefront because I'm only open like 15 hours a week,
right
3 hours a day. That's
with
it.
horrible parking.
With the worst parking. in the
Horrible
world.
parking
Like
there.
we're on Main Street, but we have like one parking stall on Main Street.
Right.
That's it.
True.
It's the worst. But I don't care because
It
like,
works.
you're just picking it up anyway. Like
That's right.
this current climate that we're in, like COVID-19, like we were actually made for COVID-19. Like we do
True.
everything online. We don't want you to come in and hang out. Like just pick up your pies, take them home. We haven't really had to change anything.
Have you
awesome.
seen an increase in business with this?
Yes,
That's good.
a lot. People want their freezers stocked. They don't want to cook, which is
Interesting.
great.
Except when they're fasting.
Yeah. It's the worst.
I can't wait to go buy like 12 of these deep dish pies.
I know. It sounds so good.
So what makes you excited right now? Like what do you see the business evolving, or is it more just new flavors?
I definitely think the business is evolving, right? So we sell pies after we went on the Food Network. We kind of took over. We started making more pies. We started wholesaling our pies to the grocery store. So it kind of took over our Salt Lake because people think that Heber's like really, really far away. And so then they could get them there. And we started selling a lot of pies there. We do a lot of pies there and they get our whole menu there, and they've been a fantastic partners with us. Like we love the store, and they have 2 locations now. They have one at the Gateway and then their main location on 6200 South. And I mean, they get like today they picked up like 400 pies.
Jeez.
A week is probably their average. And so that's huge. But I think I would love to do a food truck. There's like lots of options. And I think we were headed in a lot of different ways. And then, small businesses kind of like, well, hold on, what's going to happen here the next hot minute?
Crazy.
But shipping pies is for sure on the table. It's something that we've tested. We have new boxes. I don't hand stamp them anymore. Just, a glorious thing.
You mass produce your boxes now too, huh?
I do mass produce our boxes now. Yep, I sure do. And I don't stamp the
No
pie
more
pan
hand stamp.
anymore.
Hey, as long as the crust is handmade still, we're still good.
It's still good. And everything's still made from scratch. Like
Right.
there's no mixes and powders. Like everything is still whisked by hand and mixed together. We use fruits. All of our fruits come from All Red Orchards, and our cherries come from the Payson Cherry Farms and things like that. Like I think that makes the difference, is that I love it. I still love to bake pie. Like just last week I was like, guys, I sent my staff home. I was like, I just want to roll the dough tonight. Like I got to get out of my house. I got to get away from my kids. Like I'm just going to go and put my headphones in and just roll the dough. Like, cause I like it. I really like it. I could easily probably hire a kitchen manager and this and that and like just let it ride. But I love baking pie still.
That's awesome.
Like it makes me happy.
That's cool.
I like it.
There's not many people who can say that. I mean, I'm even up and down with barbecue still. I mean, it kind of depends on the day. But
I mean, how many times do you still cook a week?
2 to 3.
Yeah, because you want to. You could find somebody. If you didn't want to, you could find somebody to do it.
Yeah, I guess you're right. I could.
You could.
It's good for me to stay involved. Plus, it kind of sets the tone on what the quality should be, because I'm still the best at it in the building. But yeah, I mean, you're right. If I didn't like it anymore, I wouldn't do it.
If you wanted to only focus on the business side of it and doing that, then
I
you
definitely
would.
don't want to do that.
You would just do that, but you still like it.
I do.
And I still find great satisfaction in baking a pie.
Well, it's also the people, for me, it's just seeing people enjoy the food too, which is a really fun part of it.
That's huge. For me, when somebody's like, why do you do it? I'm all, selfishly, I like that I made that person happy. Right. Like that makes me feel good.
For sure.
Like it's not me being generous. Feeling. Like I feel good because you really like that pie, and that makes me feel good.
Maybe that's why I'm grumpy a little bit right now, because I'm used to be able to see it in the dining room.
Yeah.
And it's been like a month now, and I hate it.
Yeah, it's hard because then all you're hearing is
like it's never coming back. Like it's
the social media side of it, where people are like leaving reviews, and you're like, okay, well, that's not as much fun.
I hope it ends soon, but
yeah.
I mean, that story. We've had quite a few of them in here. It's just more proof that if you love to do something and you're doing it for fun, but you're working so hard at it, but it's still for fun, that it can transition into
you got to do it, right? You got to try it. Do 3 pies 3 days a week or whatever
really,
it was.
I just was like, let's just try it. Like, what's it gonna hurt? What? Okay, it didn't work. You didn't like it. Okay, great.
Right. Well, especially with
But you didn't attach any like your self-worth to that not working out, right? Like if it wouldn't have worked, you would have been like, okay, whatever. I'm still like this, and
yeah. I mean, I think part of it, like, had I lost on the Sugar Showdown, I think I probably would have been like, I'm a terrible pie baker. Like, I'm not telling a single person that I'm on the show. Like, we're not. No way. So I think part of me, like, I get really invested in my pies. That's been like a big trial. The episode of Friends where Monica makes the like candies outside the door at Christmas time, and like all the neighbors are freaking out, and Monica's like all over it. My sister sends that clip to me like all the time. She's all, you've become Monica. You've become Monica today. I'm like,
meet my wife.
Yeah.
She is Monica.
Yeah. Jenna is Monica. That's true.
Great. It's all good things. But I'm like, it's distancing myself, knowing that like people can not like my pie, and that's okay. Like that's a hard thing for me.
Taste is always going to be subjective.
It is. And I like it when people are like, this is the worst thing I've ever tasted. I'm like, then don't come back.
Right.
Try a different one.
Try a different one.
Keep working at days and just do your thing.
Sorry. Like I don't, right? Like what are you going to do?
Yeah.
And it's been a roller coaster of like evolving from it's just me baking pie and like I'm just a pie owner to like, okay, now we're going to have like trainings. We're going to like have HR documents. We're going to like be real people. Like this is a real business now.
Right.
We're going to have recipes.
It's great.
We're going to actually write down the recipes. No, there's now recipes. Some days, like, but that's a big deal. Like somebody's like, well, don't you have the recipe? I'm like, ask anybody in the kitchen staff, like what kind of recipes we have back there.
Right.
So
Average.
ending, what would be one piece of advice that you would give to someone who is you before you started? Maybe not with pie, but maybe it's something else. Like, what would you tell them?
I think I would tell them, find whatever it is that makes it tick for you. Because if you just copy what somebody else is doing, it won't last. Like, unnatural things cannot survive.
Right.
Like, I'm not the first person who ever baked pie. I'm not Marie Callender's. But I am June Pie, and I love to bake pie. And this is our signature. This is our consistent brand, and it works for me. That doesn't mean it will work for you. Doesn't mean your business model will work. Doesn't make. Just do what you do,
Right.
and that can be the same thing.
Well, and do what you love, right?
Do what you love,
Right.
but
There's always room for you, right?
yeah.
But there's only one of you.
there's always room for us all in there. Like, everybody, I mean, we're going to frequent all the different places, right? I'm going to try all the cookie places. How many cookie places are there?
Holy
and we're all going to eat it because there's enough of them.
Yep.
There's
there's
only
enough
one
there.
for me.
Yeah. You have your heart set on one?
I shouldn't say that. I don't want to offend anybody. But yes, I have my favorite cookie shop.
We all do.
Right.
And that's okay.
It's all good.
It's all, we can all be in it. And you can do you, and you can still make pie, and it doesn't have to be a June pie.
Yep.
And it can exist.
Well, that's the nice thing about pie is just the fact that it's pie is going to filter out quite a few copycats just because of the work,
Yeah.
right? And the art form involved.
It's a labor-intensive situation. Like,
Same thing with barbecue, right?
Like,
it's just like, if
can you hang for this long? Can you
Right.
keep doing it for this long?
you've got to love making pie to be good at making pie. Just like barbecue's the same way, because it does take time. There is a lot of labor involved.
And it's not cheap, right? Like, it matters. The quality of your meats matters, and the quality of our pie ingredients matters, and that fruit matters. So it's not like if you're in it for the money, you are in the wrong business, because you will not
true.
like go to cookies. Cookies are cheap.
Yeah, cookies would be great.
Yeah, right. It's a formulation cooking. Like, it's great.
Right.
Pie's not that way, and especially not our June pie. Like, it's not the way it works. So
Very cool.
Well, that was awesome.
We sure appreciate you coming
Thanks
on.
for coming
What a
in.
Very
Well, thanks, guys.
inspiring
Thank you
story.
for the pie.
anytime.
Really
There's always
excited
pies.
to try
I
it.
rarely come down here without pie.
I was going to say it doesn't happen
It's
very often.
really almost time for me to have pie.
Yes.
You're going to love
We're
it.
so close.
Thanks, Tammy.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.